Wednesday, April 16, 2025. News Vogue reported through the Astrophysical Journal Letters that a team at Cambridge University had found something astounding. A distant planet orbiting a star some 124 light-years from Earth that may very well support alien life. But this discovery comes at the same time that multiple military whistleblowers are revealing decades of government cover-ups about alien encounters. Have extraterrestrials really been visiting and even spying on us for decades? Today we'll be attempting to get to the bottom of that question using the most credible evidence ever assembled. This first story has been corroborated by multiple highly reliable military personnel and stands as one of the most striking pieces of evidence suggesting advanced, unknown technology visiting Earth. It's worth covering in depth first, because authenticated footage exists to support it. In late 2004, a naval strike group led by the USS Nimitz was conducting pre-deployment exercises off the northwest coast of Mexico. On November 10th, the USS Princeton detected unusual radar signals near San Clemente Island. These signals did not match any known aircraft and appeared in groups of 5 to 10 at a time. The senior radar operator, with nearly 2 decades of experience, was baffled. Suspecting a malfunction, the upgraded Spy-1 radar was shut down and recalibrated. Instead of disappearing, the tracks became clearer and stronger. The targets displayed capabilities that defied known physics, moving too fast to be birds, too slow for standard aircraft, and sometimes descending from high altitudes to sea level in seconds. Such rapid altitude changes would destroy any known aircraft and kill a human pilot instantly, yet the objects lingered in the area for hours. These events unfolded over multiple days, with the crew observing the tiny moving specks through high-powered binoculars. On the morning of November 14th, events escalated. Strike Fighter Squadron 41 launched from the Nimitz for a training operation when the unknown radar tracks appeared again. Lieutenant Douglas Kurth was sent to investigate an unidentified target approaching from the south. Upon reaching the coordinates, he saw a large disturbance in the water and something submerged just beneath the surface, larger than any submarine he'd ever encountered. Kurth was joined by 2 other fighter jets, each carrying 2 people, with the lead flown by Commander David Fravor. Fravor also reported seeing the massive disturbance, describing it as far larger than any known submarine. As Kurth returned to the Nimitz, Fravor and his wingmen moved in for a closer look at the source of the disturbance. What followed defies conventional explanation and remains among the most credible UFO encounters ever documented. And this incident was not unique. Similar encounters were occurring along the U.S. eastern seaboard. The footage tied to these events was captured by some of the most advanced military technology on Earth. What Commander David Fravor witnessed that day would stay with him for years. As he descended toward the disturbance in the water, a white, oblong object about the size of his F-18 Super Hornet appeared above the churning surface. It had no wings, no exhaust, and no visible means of propulsion. Fravor described it as a perfectly smooth, white tic-tac shape. Even more unusual, the craft appeared aware of his presence. As Fravor descended in a circular pattern for a closer view, the object began mirroring his movements, spiraling upward toward him. For several minutes, the 2 aircraft engaged in what Fravor described as a kind of aerial maneuvering, with the object demonstrating flight characteristics that defied physics. Then, in an instant, it accelerated and vanished. No sonic boom, no gradual departure, just gone. Fravor immediately radioed the USS Princeton. The crew confirmed something astonishing. The object had reappeared on radar 60 miles away in under a minute. That would require speeds of several thousand miles per hour, far beyond any known aircraft's capabilities and without the expected G-forces or sonic signatures. This tic-tac event was not unique. Roughly 10 years later, in 2015, a naval strike group led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt conducted training exercises off Virginia's coast and reported eerily similar incidents. Anomalous radar tracks appeared again, initially dismissed as malfunctions. Yet repeated checks confirmed the data. Gravity-defying, hypersonic objects were being tracked, behaving in ways that mocked established aerodynamics. Early interception attempts failed, but one encounter shocked even seasoned pilots. 2 F-18 Super Hornets flying only tens of meters apart narrowly avoided a collision when an object shot between them at tremendous speed. Though the pilots haven't spoken publicly, fellow F-18 pilot Lieutenant Ryan Graves testified at the UAP congressional hearing about what one of them described afterward. According to Graves, during a mission in a warning area, Whiskey 72 off Virginia Beach, two F-18s were split by a UAP, a dark gray or black cube inside a clear sphere, passing within 50 feet of the lead jet. The object was estimated at 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander immediately terminated the flight and filed a safety report. No official acknowledgement followed, and no mechanism existed for reporting such incidents. This cube inside a sphere craft did not resemble any known aircraft from any country. Both pilots reported distinct details despite the brief encounter, suggesting they got a clear look at something extraordinary. Graves added that similar objects had been observed by dozens of pilots over several months, remaining airborne for up to 12 hours at a time, but far exceeding the endurance of even advanced fighter jets. Later in 2015, after the Theodore Roosevelt moved to Florida's coast, pilots captured another extraordinary clip. The craft appeared to rotate in flight, resembling descriptions by Bob Lazar of gravity warping vehicles and even displaying a heart-like shape. Skeptics argued this was an optical illusion from the camera's derotation system, but both pilots insisted it was rotating, and FLIR expert Jeremy Corbell supported their assessment. What remains most baffling is how a fleet of such objects could travel crosswind at extreme speeds while holding perfect formation. Yet the most troubling element of all these encounters isn't just what was seen, it's what happened when those involved tried to report it. It's vital to understand the man responsible for bringing these videos to the public and why the evidence remained hidden for so long. Luis Elizondo headed a secret government program known as the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, created to investigate UFO sightings. In late 2017, disillusioned with the government's deliberate suppression of information, he resigned and went public. Elizondo stated that certain officials inside the government strongly opposed UFO research and ignored what could represent the most significant national security threat in history. Objects of unknown origin with technology beyond our capabilities routinely violate restricted airspace, yet the official response has been to downplay or silence reports. Many service members say sightings are common but underreported, as speaking out risks careers and invites ridicule. This stigma is one reason the term UAP replaced UFO, to distance the issue from stereotypes while maintaining secrecy. Lieutenant Ryan Graves summarized this sentiment during his historic testimony before Congress. "My name is Ryan Graves, and I'm an F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me." He then made 3 critical points. UAPs are in U.S. airspace but are severely underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated but routine, and trained observers, military and commercial pilots whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently encountering them. He warned that the stigma around UAP suppresses witnesses, discourages reporting, and threatens national security. Commercial pilots fear professional consequences, while parts of the government know more than they admit but classify the information so tightly that it fuels speculation and mistrust. Since 2021, all UAP videos have been classified at secret or higher, limiting transparency even further. What Graves revealed next would challenge long-held assumptions about government transparency and national security. And before we continue unfolding this fascinating discovery, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Don't forget to share it with your friends too. It helps the channel out, and I'm excited to continue bringing you more awesome content. In 2021, the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a preliminary report on UAPs. Its findings were extraordinary. Reviewing 2 decades of Navy reports, the government admitted it had no explanation for what these objects were, where they came from, or how they operated. According to the report, UAPs were observed breaking the sound barrier without a sonic boom, moving without visible propulsion, and performing maneuvers so extreme they would destroy known aircraft and kill any human occupants. The government formally acknowledged these were most likely physical objects and represented a potential safety and security threat to the United States. The individuals providing testimony about these encounters are not random observers but trained military personnel, intelligence officers, and pilots whose jobs are to identify aircraft and assess threats. Their accounts not only align but corroborate each other in ways difficult to fake. One of the most explosive claims came from former intelligence official David Grush at a congressional hearing. Under oath, he stated that the U.S. government had direct contact with non-human intelligences, recovered multiple crashed craft, and retrieved biological remains of non-human pilots. He further alleged that the U.S. has encountered alien races with potentially hostile intentions, a scenario with profound implications for humanity if true. Grush also asserted that for decades the government has orchestrated a far-reaching cover-up, actively silencing or eliminating individuals who threaten to expose these programs. The U.S. government denied his claims and attempted to discredit him, but in July 2023, under oath and facing perjury charges, Grush reaffirmed that non-human biological remains had been recovered from crash sites and that an extensive concealment effort was ongoing. Although he could not publicly answer many questions due to classification rules, Grush said he was willing to provide further details in classified briefings to members of Congress. What he revealed privately remains unknown. Meanwhile, as government officials debate and deny, scientists are making discoveries of their own, including findings on a distant planet that could rank among the most significant in human history. K2-18 billion orbits the red dwarf star K2-18, about 124 light-years from Earth, roughly 6 trillion miles per light-year. Classified as a sub-Neptune, it's about 2.5 times Earth's radius and 8.5 times its mass. What makes K2-18 billion remarkable is its position squarely in the star's habitable zone, with estimated average surface temperatures between -3 and -13 degrees. Some regions may be warmer, possibly allowing liquid water, the key ingredient for life. K2-18 billion completes an orbit every 33 days and was discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope in 2015. It shares its system with a smaller, gas-rich planet. Scientists believe K2-18 billion may be tidally locked but also influenced by gravitational interactions with its neighbor. The breakthrough findings came from the James Webb Space Telescope, now in its 4th year of operation, about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. Led by Professor Niku Madhusudhan at Cambridge University, the research team built on observations dating back to 2023, when methane and carbon dioxide were first identified in K2-18 billion's atmosphere. Early hints of dimethyl sulfide suggested something far more significant. The latest study confirms DMs at a 3 sigma confidence level, meaning only a 0.3% chance of error. The same threshold often used in pharmaceuticals and climate science. Another 16 to 24 hours of JWST observations could bring this to 5 sigma. The gold standard for scientific discovery, leaving an infinitesimal chance of error. On Earth, DMs is produced only by living organisms such as phytoplankton and certain bacteria. No known non-biological process creates the large quantities detected on K2-18 billion. As Madhusudhan told the BBC, this is the strongest evidence yet that there is possibly life out there. I can realistically say that we can confirm this signal within 1 to 2 years. If we confirm life on K2-18 billion, it should basically confirm that life is very common in the galaxy. The implications are staggering. Detecting signs of life 124 light-years away with current technology suggests biological activity may be widespread in the universe. Yet the Cambridge team cautions that even a 5 sigma result would only confirm these gases, not definitively prove life. Unknown non-biological processes may still exist. They tested alternate explanations such as cometary delivery and ultraviolet interactions, but none accounted for the observed DMs levels. While the scientific community debates the findings, others argue that evidence of alien life may already exist much closer to home, but hidden within the most classified facilities on Earth. Area 51 has long been at the center of alien conspiracy theories, with persistent rumors of extraterrestrial research at this secret military development and testing base. Bob Lazar claims those rumors are true. In the late 1980s, he says he was hired to work at a facility called S4 near Area 51 to reverse engineer recovered alien spacecraft. What makes Lazar's story compelling are his technical claims, some of which were only validated decades later. In 1989, he stated that the craft he worked on ran on an antimatter reactor powered by a stable form of element 115. At the time, the element didn't officially exist. Earth scientists only created it in 2003, and even now, it can be stabilized only for milliseconds. Lazar, however, described handling stable quantities years before their discovery. He also gave detailed descriptions of the propulsion system. According to him, the reactor was topped by a basketball-sized sphere emitting a force field capable of repelling human flesh. The craft had two main levels, with the reactor at the center of the upper level and an antenna extending upward, surrounded by 3 gravity amplifiers. These amplifiers guided gravity waves, forming a heart-shaped distortion field around the craft, narrowing at the bottom. They connected to gravity emitters on the lower level that could rotate 180 degrees to output an anti-gravity wave. The craft would then travel belly first into this distortion field, essentially falling through space-time. Lazar further claimed that flying saucers actually operate sideways rather than upright, with opposable engines allowing them to move in any direction, a detail matching the footage from the USS Theodore Roosevelt, which showed a craft rotating and flying on its side decades after his description. He also said he read briefing documents describing extraterrestrial involvement with Earth going back 10,000 years, including gray beings about child size, and claimed to have seen biological remains of similar entities stored at the facility. All institutions where Lazar said he studied or worked, Los Alamos National Laboratory, MIT, and ITAG Caltech, deny he was ever there. Yet investigative journalist George Knapp found Lazar knew these places that only an insider would know. Supporters argue this is evidence of an intentional cover-up. For example, Lazar described a biometric hand scanner at S4 measuring bone length to grant access. Initially, the government denied that such devices existed at Area 51. Decades later, the Department of Defense confirmed that this technology was used there in the 1980s for the stealth fighter program. When declassified images of the device were released, Lazar confirmed it matched what he had described. Despite decades of criticism, Lazar has maintained the same story for over 35 years and passed multiple polygraph tests. Critics cite his later legal troubles to question his credibility, while supporters see them as part of an effort to discredit him. Regardless of belief, mass sightings reported by thousands appear to echo some of his technical descriptions of how these craft operate. The Phoenix Lights remain one of the most witnessed UFO events in history. On March 13, 1997, 2 separate incidents unfolded in Nevada and Arizona. At 7:30 p.m., a Henderson, Nevada, resident reported glowing orbs arranged in a perfect V formation. The lights traveled nearly 300 miles toward Phoenix, observed by thousands, including actor and pilot Kurt Russell. Some witnesses said they could faintly see a massive triangular craft connecting the lights. They described it as enormous, possibly over a mile wide, moving silently at an impossibly slow speed. After passing over Phoenix, the formation vanished. Later at 10 p.m., a separate row of bright lights appeared south of the city, hovering motionless before disappearing one by one. Skeptic Robert Schieffer attributed the lights to Air Force A-10 jets flying in formation and dropping flares at the Barry-Goldwater range. Yet in 2007, former Arizona governor and Air Force pilot Fife Symington admitted he had seen the first event and said it was unlike any aircraft he knew. He urged a serious investigation. The military exercise explanation covers the stationary lights but not the massive V-shaped formation witnessed by thousands, including pilots and law enforcement. Another major case is the Calvine photo, often called the clearest UFO image ever taken. Captured in Scotland in 1990 by 2 chefs, it shows a diamond-shaped craft near a military aircraft. The image was given to a newspaper, which passed it to the Ministry of Defense, where it vanished for 30 years. In 2020, journalist David Clark located a retired RAF officer who had kept a print. Andrew Robinson, senior photography lecturer at Sheffield Hallam University, analyzed the photo and found no evidence of editing or double exposure. The RAF officer revealed the craft made no sound, echoing many UFO encounters. British authorities have withheld the photographers' identities until 2076, citing privacy concerns, fueling speculation about what's being concealed. Government secrecy is also evident in the Belgian UFO wave of 1989 to 1990. Over 5 months, more than 2,000 people, including police, pilots, and military personnel, reported triangular craft with 3 glowing lights. Belgium's government, suspecting U.S. aircraft, asked Washington for confirmation and was told no tests were taking place. In March 1990, after another sighting, F-16 scrambled to intercept. Pilots couldn't see the craft but tracked it on radar, performing impossible maneuvers, accelerating from hover to over 1,000 mph in seconds, making right-angle turns, and changing altitude almost instantaneously, movements that would destroy any known aircraft. The object then vanished from radar, leaving no explanation. Mass sightings of unexplained craft predate the modern UFO era. During World War II, Allied pilots reported mysterious lights and objects, later called Foo Fighters, that paced their aircraft. These reports came from combat veterans whose lives depended on accurate identification. Some suspected hallucinations from combat stress, but commanding officers described the pilots as reliable. Others thought they were German secret weapons, yet no such technology surfaced after the war. A more provocative theory is that these were extraterrestrial observers drawn to humanity's most destructive conflict. Radar, jet engines, and nuclear weapons might have triggered surveillance from advanced civilizations. UFO sightings have since intensified around military and nuclear sites, suggesting a continued focus on human technological progress, an enduring pattern that raises questions we still can't answer. Credible UFO encounters don't always come from military personnel. Sometimes they emerge from the least expected sources, like a group of school children whose story has remained consistent for nearly 3 decades. In 1994, at aerial school outside Rua, Zimbabwe, 62 students aged 6 to 12 reported seeing a disc-shaped craft land near their playground. Thinking it was a small plane or helicopter, some approached. They described humanoid beings about 4 feet tall, with pale skin and large black eyes, stepping out of the craft. The children claimed the beings communicated telepathically, warning about environmental destruction and showing visions of a damaged Earth. Afterward, the craft departed. Teachers initially dismissed the account, but the children's stories remained consistent when interviewed separately. Many drew matching sketches of the craft and beings. Skeptics suggested mass hysteria was influenced by regional UFO reports 2 days earlier. Yet critics struggled to explain the complex environmental messages and the long-term consistency of the testimony. Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack, who interviewed the students, concluded they were sincere about what they experienced. The aerial school case is only one civilian example. Between 2007 and 2009, multiple witnesses in northwest Turkey captured video footage of metallic objects hovering near the coast. Unlike most cases relying solely on eyewitnesses, this one featured extensive independent recordings. Enhanced frames even appeared to show figures visible through transparent sections of the craft. Turkish authorities initially called the videos hoaxes, but 2 state-sponsored investigations concluded the footage was genuine, unedited, and depicted objects not matching any known human aircraft. Civilian encounters also include incidents tied to military tensions. One of the most famous is the 1942 Battle of Los Angeles. With the West Coast on high alert after Pearl Harbor, air raid sirens sounded on February 24th. Anti-aircraft batteries fired over 1,400 rounds into the night sky as searchlights locked onto what some claimed was a large, slow-moving object. Yet at dawn, no wreckage, pilots, or enemy craft were found. The Air Force later blamed weather balloons and war nerves, but the incident remains a striking example of how unidentified objects can trigger chaos in sensitive airspace. Some of the most extraordinary reports come from remote locations like Lake Baikal in Siberia, the world's deepest lake. In 2009, Serge Kichik photographed 2 glowing orbs rising from the water before descending again. In 1982, Russian military divers reportedly encountered tall humanoid beings in metallic suits swimming at depth without equipment. Attempting to capture one, the team was allegedly ejected to the surface at high speed, causing fatal decompression injuries to several divers. Skeptics view these accounts as folklore or cover stories for training accidents. Yet combined with repeated surface sightings and photographic evidence, they suggest something anomalous may exist in such isolated environments. The depth and remoteness of lakes like Baikal could provide natural concealment for unknown craft or entities, an enduring pattern echoing other global reports of UFOs and underwater phenomena. The Cambridge team studying K218 billion has been clear about the limits of its research. Despite strong statistical confidence in detecting biosignature gases, it is far too early to declare proof of alien life. Even at the gold standard of 5 sigma confidence, the data would only confirm the presence of certain gases, not their biological origin. On Earth, dimethyl sulfide is produced by living organisms, but scientists can manufacture it in laboratories, and it can form under specific atmospheric conditions. DMs has been detected on comets, in stardust and in interstellar gas clouds environments inhospitable to life, showing that biology is not the only pathway. The Cambridge team considered these alternatives but found neither cometary delivery nor photochemical reactions could account for the large concentrations detected on K218 billion. This strengthens but does not prove their hypothesis that biological processes are the most likely explanation. Unknown non-biological mechanisms may still exist, which is why independent confirmation and peer review are essential before any discovery is deemed definitive. While scientists pursue evidence of life on distant planets, others argue that traces of extraterrestrial visitation are embedded in ancient human culture. Ancient astronaut theorists cite artwork, carvings and texts worldwide, Ezekiel's wheel, Sanskrit vimanas or humanoid figures with large eyes and cave paintings, as depictions of real encounters. They highlight the consistency of disc-shaped craft and non-human beings across civilizations separated by time and geography. Mainstream archaeology views these depictions as mythological or symbolic. Critics of ancient astronaut theories argue the similarities reflect common human psychology rather than contact with advanced beings. The debate underscores a key challenge in UFO research, distinguishing genuine historical accounts from humanity's enduring tendency to interpret the unknown through stories of beings from the sky. Scientific discoveries hinting at alien life and official acknowledgments of unexplained aerial phenomena raise a critical question: what happens next? For the Cambridge team studying K218 billion, the immediate goal is more observation time with the James Webb Space Telescope. Another 16 to 24 hours could push their biosignature detection to the 5 sigma gold standard, making it statistically unassailable. Confirming these gases would mark the first detection of potential biological activity beyond our solar system, even if the mechanism producing them remains unknown. Independent verification is vital. Several international teams are already preparing their own observations to confirm or challenge the Cambridge findings, while others are testing non-biological explanations for the data. Such scrutiny strengthens rather than weakens extraordinary claims. Sending probes to K218 billion is impossible with current technology. Our fastest spacecraft would take over 100,000 years. So scientists must rely on remote observation and modeling to interpret what they see. Meanwhile, UFO disclosure is accelerating. Government agencies, once dismissive of unidentified aerial phenomena, are now acknowledging their reality, creating formal investigation programs and systematic data collection. This new openness has encouraged more pilots, military personnel, and officials to come forward, producing a snowball effect of testimony and evidence. If life can be detected 124 light-years away and advanced craft are operating in Earth's skies, biological activity may be widespread, and we may not be alone. As the Cambridge team noted, skepticism and repeated testing are essential, but whether evidence comes from distant exoplanets or our own atmosphere, we are entering a period of unprecedented revelation about our place in the universe. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.